Hello. Today I feel moved to share a perspective that I've toyed with for, I don't know, a long time. I think probably all the way since back to when I was a teenager. Read in a book a quote once that you can never step in the same river twice. It was framed as a Zen quote, Zen saying. If you look it up on the internet, there's a whole bunch of people that are credited with the saying. Um, but I actually expanded that to the space of I never meet the same person twice. Now, as a practitioner, it seems a little strange because we're supposed to keep track of people as they're moving through their story, their progression towards health, all those things. But the piece that's there for me is that I have no idea what's going on with their story in the moment that they come in. It could be a yes, this is great. It could be a I had a horrible car accident and everything you thought we were going to do goes away. Any myriad of 10,000 things can fill in the blank about what walks in my door on a regular basis. And so over the years, I started embracing this idea that I've never seen the same patient twice. I've never met the same person twice. Right? Each time there's a meeting, there's a new version of them that is my responsibility to be present with, to see what's there. And some people change very quickly, and some people change very slowly. And in that space, it's always me and my perception of what's going on in their world. And even to the best of my ability, I'm not able to actually connect. I can only hear their stories through my lens of how I understand the world. So how in the world could I understand their stories? Right? Great, we've got terms, we can come up with the diagnoses and everything else, but really never meeting the same person twice. As I've grown, as I've matured, as I've developed various versions of myself, one of the things that comes in that space is more and more depth. I have no idea who this being is that's in front of me, right? It's only stories that I've told myself in a little algorithm of quantifying where I can put them so that my mind can make sense of what's there. So the space on today is that can we meet each day as something we've never experienced before? It's a different river. It's a different day on the calendar. Sun's in a slightly different place. The moon's in a different place. Planets, all those pieces, and the people are all in different places, moving in different rates, telling each other different stories around what matters and what doesn't matter. Right? About what means the most, what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing, right? Are you in alignment with me? If not, you're clearly wrong, is the present energy that's out there. But there's 8 billion of us on this planet, and we'll never agree on what the right choice is to move forward. So can we meet people in the space of allowing them to have their experience and their expressions and learn about their river and their expression in this moment? And surrendering to the story about who we think that they happen to be. Because they'll show up differently the next time. And yeah, they may have similarities, but they still have a life that we know absolutely nothing about. Right? Even the stories that they tell us is still heard through our lens. It's not through their experiences. So it's being present in the moment, being present in the day, looking for the light, looking for the the magical reflections off the river before we even step into it to try to cross it. It's all constantly in a space of shift. And one of the things that I hear time and time again in my office is that, oh, I don't like change. The only thing that never changes on this planet is the fact that this planet is always changing. So what if we got out of our own way? What if we started looking at the world through a perspective of it's going to shift, it's going to change. I embrace that I have insecurities around shifting and changing, but it's going to do it anyway. So how do I move bravely forward into a world that's constantly shifting and constantly changing with an entire myriad of people who are also shifting and changing in one gigantic orchestrated human experience? And the only way that I've found that makes our way through that is to know more about the river that makes us who we are. Who are you and who do you choose to show up as today? Right? Most of us show up differently for our friends, than we show up for our children, than we show up for our parents, than we show up at work. We all have little facets that we show, and at the center of those facets should be the core light of who we actually are. Right? The true being hopefully the compassionate being, the patient being, the understanding being, right? But that's my perspective. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It just means it's what works for me, right? As a collective, the stories that I listen to say that we're all vibrating at higher and higher frequencies, right? And on research studies that have been out there that I've read says that the highest frequency a human can experience is authenticity. So let's be authentic, right? Even in our ugliness, even in our pain, our suffering, our anger, our fear, our love, our joy, our compassion, our patience, our forgiveness, our grace, the ways that we show up for ourselves. Let's be authentic with the spaces, not take ownership of those emotions that I just listed, but being with them and letting them wash through us. Surrender to the old story and the old visions about what we had about how do you express anger. It doesn't have to mean yelling and screaming like we've seen modeled for us. It doesn't have to mean that we get beat red in the face and blow steam out of our ears like Yosemite Sam showed us in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. It just means that we have to show up as saying, I have anger around what's here, right? And what I need to move forward through this space will be unique upon each individual, right? The shouting voice with anger comes from the space that we feel like we're not being heard. So how do we readdress the words that we need to say so that we are heard? First and foremost by ourselves, and giving other people even the permission not to listen. Right? Surrendering to the flow, surrendering to the grand river of life, so that we can all float down. Got the paddle, got to be able to steer. Look out, here comes some rocks, here comes some rapids. But it's surrendering to it. Making sure that we're setting ourselves up for a course so we don't slam into the rocks. But it's still a different river at every single moment. Every single this now is a different experience, a subtle shift in vibrational frequencies that we experience. So let's float. Let's look at the river of our own life and realize we've only begun to step into it. Right? I would challenge you to look at your stories that you tell yourself. Shift the perspectives that we have about what's right and what's wrong, and hold room for every bit of humanity, every bit of life that's on this planet, the stuff that we see, the stuff that we don't see. Right? And let's have an allowing. Let's allow the consciousness to take a collective deep breath and go, I don't know how we're going to get through this, but we always have. We've always managed to make it through our darkest of times. We've always managed to make it through the hard, the scary, the ugly, the pieces that hurt, the pain, the suffering. And we make it through by giving ourselves permission to take a different perspective, to find peace, to create peace. Not by judging other people about whether they're correct or not. What's wrong for you could be right for somebody else. Everybody's best friend has an opportunity to be somebody else's arch enemy. Doesn't make the arch enemy wrong, just means they see a different perspective of that individual. So here's that. There's the authenticity that I'm offering for today. Right? Can we look at the world from a new and unique perspective every single moment, every single time we see a person, even our loved ones, even our partners, our wives, our husbands, right? Friends, family, see them as unique. I've never seen this version of you before. I've never met this version of you before. Become curious, learn about their humanity. We don't have to embrace their suffering, but we can hold space for it with compassion, with love, with understanding, again, to the best of our ability. And the ability is supposed to ever increase as we hook into our authentic self. We learn more about our authenticity. And so we can do it better next time. We can do it differently next time. So here's my authenticity. Translated through light language in an expression that defies my own articulation, of asking you to realize we never step in the same river twice. And just to embrace that flow as we all move together through the rapids of the world. And let's be gentle with our fellow humans. Let's be patient with them. Have compassion for ourselves and for others. Forgiveness and grace for everybody that we come across. And strive towards working to meet our authentic self and challenging ourselves to allow that to shine as bright as possible. Okay. That's the end of the English. Tuishina kotomoho tatete. Tatata de de tomoho tatata. Tatata rakatamokoto shinite mahaitete. Tahaishi shina makoto mokote shinakata. Kamarakoto shini shinaka ramokoto kahaite. Takahaite kishinakumo kotakatai shinikitaka. Tamakara tamakoto shinakaita mokota. Tate nya ha mokote tita. Tita shinakatamoho takamarakata senene rakatamarokoto moko si shamarakata karakai. Kamarakata karakata komoho kokishiki shikitakatikma kai shinakamo kai tiditai tinamokoto. Tatai shinakatamoho tata shinene temora katara tashinatamoto. Kaira morokotai shirakatara rakatakma kai shimo tata titama haita. Mahaite shinakatamohoto. Mohoto ko siti shikamakatoko katishnika mahatate. Kamarakata shinite kamokotomo hai shikatamoha katakramoroko te sataka. Kamo shinitsi shamarakata mo tai tikiti tikaramadaketa tamokoto. Kamarokoto moko sirita kamotoko shinina marakata ina markata marakata ina mokoto trita. Kamarako morokoto shiniti karakiti mohuti shikarira kramorokoto mahaite kiti shnika aite mokoto. Kurokotomohu ya atin snyara katamakai temoko. Tamarakata shine katamarakata haine katakshnika mokotoka pakatakshini mo ni haro haide na otakate ta. Kamarakata shine tamarokoto moro toka sarakata moho sire tata kamo gotate. Kamishiro kotomoko tachishina katama. Kamarata kamoto komo shiti kamakatera kan kuromokoto makata. Kaishina tamoto katata mokata. Mokota sire katamokota katamokote shina tamokote matake. Tamarakata shini homare katamoko tokote keshina katamaka. Kamarakata shini kara katamoko shina rakatamokota ini shina tamokota tata. Katamokoto shina takamoteta. Kamaratako komoshita. Kirikishni gamarukoto kopoko. Thank you, my friends. Go be your authentic selves and illuminate brilliantly. Be well.